Hey everyone, Jeff Mackerlin here, and one of the questions I get asked all the time is how do I improve my technique? And almost across the board, the biggest problem lies in the picking hand. So in this video, I'm going to show you some specific things that I think will help improve your technique. So let's take a look. One of the things I hear a lot from students, and one of the most frustrating things for me, was to build my technique up. I'd hear people play something really kind of faster. Now, I don't necessarily mean just faster. I mean smoother and fluidity, a little less effort than I was putting into it. And I was wondering, I have pretty good technique. Why can't I do that? And I came down to the simple conclusion that I was doing it wrong. So it's like that old joke, Doc, it hurts when I do this. And the doctor says, well, don't do that. So it holds true with guitar technique. So let's talk about nuts and bolts first. The main thing I find for people is not so much the fretting hand, or the left hand in my case, it's the right hand. And when students come to me and they're having lots of issues getting some speed in their playing or fluidity, like I said, it's not really the left hand, it's the picking hand that's causing the problem. So the first thing is holding a pick. Now, the way most guitar players hold a pick, not all, of course there are some amazing guitar players who do not hold a pick in the traditional fashion. So yes, I know Eddie Van Halen held a pick differently than most people, as do many other great players. But I'm going to talk about the majority of guitar players. So, all right, so how to hold a pick, generally speaking. So the first thing is I call it the politician point. They point at you this way. They don't want to point at you because you're not supposed to point to people in public speaking. This way is you're making a point.
I'm angry at him. No, you're just pointing at him. Right.
So my thumb is like this, my first finger's right here. I just put the pick right there like that. So it's very loose, this feeling right in my hand. Firm enough that the pick does not fall out of my fingers, of course, but loose enough that the pick will change direction when I'm coming across the string. So if I'm doing a downstroke, the pick will kind of gently move this way, and the upstroke, it'll move that way. So that's an important thing to think about. Lots of tension, you're squeezing this pick really hard, is not going to help you out at all. All right, so like I said, there are different ways to hold a pick. This is the most generally accepted way. So I'm using a D'Addario Black Ice 1.5 millimeter. It's a smaller pick. It's slightly larger than a Dunlop Jazz 3. You can use any size pick that you want. I do, generally for me, and most people prefer a little bit of a heavier pick, medium and up, or heavy and up. This would be considered an extra heavy, 1.5 millimeter. I find a thicker pick gives you less variables when you're trying to work on your picking. Everybody's got their own opinions on this, so do what feels good to you. But I found my technique improved when I started using somewhat of a heavier pick. Before we get going, please hit the like and subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. Also, I have a course on sale using a special link above or below, and it is called Technique Builder Blues Rock Repeated Licks, and it's specifically related to this video and how you can increase your technique, and I show you how you can work on your right hand and both left hand to synchronize those in very usable, playable lick ideas. We can also start to take those simple ideas, attach them together, and expand our vocabulary. So not only do we build our technique, we actually build the confidence that we have on the instrument, and we build our vocabulary. Next is going to be the angle of your pick. Extremely important. So I guess this is sort of falls in that 35, 45 degree angle. It's going to change a little bit for you, but if I just grab my Sharpie on my table, you can see how I'm holding my pick. It's sort of pointing downwards at this angle, right? So some guys, yes, some great guitar players point the pick upwards this way. One of my favorites, Michael Schenker, plays this way. Lots of great guitar players, but the point here is the angle of the pick is the same. Whether the pick is sort of pointing towards the ceiling or down towards the floor, it's the angle of the pick that makes all the difference. Now, a great little test to see if this is one of your issues is I'm going to tremolo pick the open G string. But now if I play with the pick perfectly parallel to the string, so a straight line, it's kind of like flat picking, or totally flat picked. Check it out. I'm getting caught up, but if I just slightly change the pitch of my wrist, straighten it out, suddenly falls out the window. So to me, that was a huge, huge discovery that I was just doing it wrong. The next thing is going to be the hand position. So I rest my arm right here on the guitar to kind of keep it in place. Now the picking motion, or the motion across the strings, comes from the movement of my forearm, right? Like this. When I'm going across the strings and picking, I am not changing the angle of my pick. Many people come to me and they're doing this. So by the time we get here, they're perpendicular to the strings, right? So the pick angle is changed all the way because I'm sweeping across this way and not moving my hand, I'm moving my wrist. That is another big problem because you're not remaining consistent with your picking, and it just doesn't really work. So the thing that we're looking for is this elbow resting on the side of the guitar. The heel of my hand right here is sitting on the bridge. It's a light guide across the strings. So you see as I'm doing this, I'm moving, and I'm using the heel of my hand resting gently on the saddles, which will help with lower string muting when I get to higher strings. Also, it's just light enough that I am just using it as a guide. I'm not anchoring it down there, just this nice loose motion like this. So you can see when I'm moving from the elbow, the pick keeps a straight line as I go across the string. So I'm gliding across the bridge, right, like this. I'm just kind of moving up, and then the pick does not change its angle as I go across the strings. So if I just want to say play it an A minor pentatonic scale, so you see what's going on. I'm just moving the whole hand and I have that straight line with my pick. Now the actual picking is coming from my wrist, which is very loose. In this case, I'm alternate picking. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. But if you notice, once again, that straight line, the motion's coming from here. I'm gliding across the bridge with the heel of my hand. Now, one really valuable piece of advice I can give you, and it's something I learned and I teach all my students, is if I'm working on this right hand technique or my picking technique, really focus and stare at that hand as you're picking. I'm pretty sure you guys can play a pentatonic scale with your left hand. So as I'm working on this picking idea, I'm going to look. Okay, pick angle's right. I'm alternate picking. My arm is gliding across the strings with the heel of my hand. The wrist is nice and loose, keeping this straight line as I move across everything. So I'm just staring at that hand. Okay, now a few little quick things. Very often when you see me play, I do play with my fingers open like this. Now, I have no tension on these fingers. I'm not holding my hand in place like this. They're just kind of there open like this, nice and loose. Just put my hand down, put the pick in it like this. So a lot of players do play this way. And a lot of players play with a closed hand. Now, when you close your hand like this, it's also very loosely closed. I'm not gripping anything. So I start squeezing my hand and everything starts to go. So you can see remaining relaxed and having no tension in your hand is essential. Watch anybody with a ton of technique. For me, it was watching some of those Yngwie Malmsteen videos growing up, and it looked like he's ripping. It's just the hand just gliding all over the place. There was like no effort whatsoever. Eric Johnson, any great player, you watch their hands, it looks like there's effortless motion there, and that's what we're going for. Any tension by squeezing your hand or holding something in place really firmly or a tight forearm or wrist, it's going to result in stiff and not very fluid picking. So what I recommend you do now is take a look and are you doing some of the things that I'm talking about? If you're not, try to make some of the changes I suggest, and I really think you're going to see a big difference. They helped me immeasurably, helped my students immeasurably as well. I wish it was one of those things that really early on somebody had said to me, hey, do this, don't do that, like that doctor joke, right? If you do it properly, you'll get really good results. So the little checklist of things to think about: you want to play with the angle on the pick, you want to glide across the bridge using the heel of your hand, you want to move from your forearm, you want to keep as straight a line as you possibly can across the strings, and also play loose and nice and softly, right? Don't grip that pick really hard. Just play some things that you're familiar with doing and see if this makes an improvement. As always, thank you for checking out this video, and if it helped, please let me know in the link down below. If you want to dig deeper into the subject, and if you want to build your vocabulary, fluidity on the instrument, and your technique, please check out my course that I have on special sale, Blues Rock Repeated Licks. And you can use that using, like I said, the link above or below. Until next time, I will see you then. Yeah. Oh, Stricker. Yeah, yeah.